Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Ramadan Mubarak. I hope you're all having a fabulous Ramadan, and I believe today is the 11th Ramadan, and I want to do this live. I mean, I've been planning on this live for a bit, but I want, now that we have already finished the first 10 days of Ramadan, a lot of us had a lot of troubles. Everybody's telling me troubles, but I feel that there's certain lessons that this Ramadan that we completely need to prioritize that we don't, and for whatever reason it may be, we don't prioritize these most important lessons. So Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Welcome to the Ramadan series, the sacred power in the sacred month. So this is episode 1, 11 powerful lessons that we as sacred females literally need to prioritize this Ramadan. So first one is, I've already done a post on this on Instagram. I've done a post on this. You guys go check it out. It's all the lessons are there, but I'm going to talk a little bit more in detail here. So lesson number 1 is prioritize you. I can't stress more than this. Like, it doesn't matter you're a mother, it doesn't matter you're a wife, it doesn't matter you're newly married or you're single. We as sacred females, the one thing that we've been taught ever since we could walk is to prioritize somebody else. Take care of your brother, take care of your sister, take care, or be nice to your aunt, your uncles, whatever it may be. It has always been about others, and we take this later on in life. We go about our lives prioritizing somebody else but us. But see, that's the funny thing. If you don't prioritize you, nobody's prioritizing you. Get that through your skull. Nobody's prioritizing you if you're not going to prioritize you. If you're going to treat yourself as second best or second, third on the list, fourth on the list, why would you expect somebody else to make you number 1 on their list of others when you're not number 1 on your list at all? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to question them for your deeds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to question them for you. You will be questioned. You will be asked. Yes, our brothers, our fathers, uncles, they will be questioned for the women under their care for certain things. Yes, but that does not mean that you're off the hook, darling. You'll be questioned as well. So if you're not going to prioritize you, if you're not going to prioritize your energy, if you're not going to prioritize your finances, if you're not going to prioritize who and where you spend your time, who and where you spend your money, if you're not going to prioritize you, trust me, you will end up depleted. If Ramadan finishes, nothing would have transformed. Nothing would have changed in your life because you're too busy pleasing somebody else, or you're too busy catering to somebody else where you're not prioritizing you. And the best way to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to prioritize you, your worship, the way you worship. Make priority your time of worship. If you don't prioritize any of this, you would end up being like our mothers and grandmothers in Ramadan, slaving over the stuff. Trust me, I was there once upon a time. Never again, alhamdulillah for my husband, but never again, because I am prioritizing me this Ramadan, and prioritizing me after Ramadan finishes as well, inshallah. And number 2 is learn the language of your sacred womb. Like, guys, your sacred womb is unique. You need to learn her language. The first part of learning a language is understanding your menstrual cycle. Like, when do you get your periods? When is your ovulation date? When is your luteal phase? you have to know these things. You need to first understand your cycle. So if you haven't written it down already, what I suggest you is go back, think about when you had your period, and then try to work it backwards. Okay, so if this was my period, then the 14 days before that would be like this, the 10 days before that it would have been these stages. Try to map out something for you so that going forward in Ramadan you'll be able to understand what it is like. So step one is understanding your menstrual cycle. You need to understand your menstrual cycle. Don't tell me I have a crazy cycle, blah 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 blah. I've heard all of it. No, you don't. You just have a unique cycle based on your body type, based on the level of sugar that you consume, based on the protein that you eat, based on your level of movement, activity. It varies and it differs. But you need to be crystal clear in what is your cycle like. What are these things? Where are the stages? What happens at each stage? But if you're just cluelessly walking through life, you're not going to be powerful at all, because your sacred womb is the most powerful portal. And like I even read it today from another womb mentor, that the sacred womb is our second heart. I disagree. I completely disagree. One, the heart has no comparison. Two, the womb has no comparison. So they're completely different. But it is the most powerful portal that we as sacred females have. We don't even understand it. We don't even understand its mechanics first, because we're too busy denying it. I mean, if you see all of these advertisements when it comes to sanitary products, like, you know, they're making it seem like, oh, even if you're on your P's, it doesn't matter. You could climb mountains, you could go trekking, you could do whatever, as would a sacred male counterpart would, and it doesn't matter. This is not the way we behave. This is not right. And this is us not listening to our sacred space language. So like I said, number one, understand your menstrual cycle. Number two, it goes into deeper ancestral. Like what is the program that the women in my family have inherited with regards to many things, with regards to money, relationships, your body, your career, whatever it is. What have the women in my lineage have inherited with regards to all of these things? So when you understand that better, then you know what are the programs that have been coded in your sacred space. Best for you to understand those codes. Okay. And I go way deeper than this in my programs, and this is what I actually teach, because the sacred womb, the sacred space, is such a powerful portal that what everybody across the board is teaching is just a small blip. That's it. We haven't even discovered, we haven't even researched the complete extent of all of it. Number three is fantastical dua sessions. Now when it comes to dua, it's funny. When it comes to dua, we keep saying, I made dua. I made like some of my mentees to say, oh, I made dua last Ramadan or the Ramadan before, and it didn't happen. I made dua in tahajjud, I made dua while iftar, it didn't come true. And no, Allah's not listening to my du'as. And I'm like, huh? See, the funny thing about dua is, we make dua assuming what we are asking is khair for us. But there is a level before that to make dua. I think I will do a episode on clarifying dua. Before you make dua, let's say the most common thing that I hear from my mentees is for a relationship. before you make dua for a relationship or a particular person, ask yourself some vital questions. What is this about? Is this important? Is this the right sunnah? Is this the way to go forward? Will Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with me in this situation? We don't think of all of that. We're just like, oh, I just want this, I just want that. And you go make dua and the dua doesn't come true. Alhamdulillah, dua didn't come true. Or it didn't come into fruition because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows better than you do. So, but when you're making dua in Ramadan, make fantastical dua sessions. Like, organize those 5 to 6 dua acceptance portals. Organize your time and ask for specific things that will please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For the life of me, stop asking for a relationship. Wait, let me check what this is. Yeah, it's connected. So, stop asking. Like, even I was speaking to my auntie today morning, and then she was, I will speak extensively about dua in this series, inshallah. So make fantastical du'as with conviction and confidence that the du'a you're asking will come true. But also when you do that, you have to be, you got to take the responsibility of that du'a coming true. That's it. You got to take the responsibility. Because you make the dua and you want it so badly, and you did it with confidence, and you did it with so much zeal, so much yaqeen, and it came true, but you wished it didn't come true. This is upon you. This is what I speak to you all. When it comes to dua, stop being stupid. Straight up. Stop being stupid. You ain't playing with Legos here. You're actually asking the Lord of the heavens and the earth. So please be smart when it comes to your du'as. Period. Just be smart. And I've heard so many of my mentees say, oh, I wish I didn't get this riz. I said, but this is the dua you asked. And they're like, yeah, I did, but what? So clarify your du'as. So, and I'm talking about du'as like you want money for to buy something, or you want money to move into a better house. There are so many clarifications that comes to dua. But then, straight up, I'll say, ask dua with conviction and confidence, and have those fantastical dua sessions. For example, me, I was having health issues at the beginning of Ramadan, and I didn't understand why, what was going on, what was happening. But alhamdulillah, I would say that it got healed because of the du'as. That's what I'm talking about. So please do not send me a DM talking about, oh, I asked for this person raise, it didn't come. Wallahi, I'm going to slap you. That's all. Next one is see, Ramadan is 29 to 30 days, and it will sprint. It's not a marathon, it's a sprint. It will finish. Like, my kids are already like, oh my god, it's already been like 10 days, like it's been so long. And that's because they're having exams. Anyhow, so Ramadan is a sprint. Okay, it will finish fast. We've already done the first 10, so we just got the next 2. We're in the middle. So organize your day and your night like a Fortune 100 CEO. What I mean by that is be very, very, very clear in where you're going to spend your energy. Be very, very clear in what things you're going to partake in the next 20 days, 20 days. What things are you going to partake in? What iftar parties are you going to go and eat and drink and then be unable to do your tarawih? Or what are you going to do? So be very meticulous. Like, okay, on day 12, I'm going to do this. I have this. I'm going to do this amount of adhkar. So I'm going to do this istighfar. Or I'm going to recite this amount of juz. Plan yourself. And the problem with us as sacred females is we are so overwhelmed with with work, we're overwhelmed with kids, we're overwhelmed with cooking, we're overwhelmed with our ibadah, that we do not know where to start. Many of you all have told me, like, first week of Ramadan, it's like, I do not know, Riz, it's just feel like a blur. It will feel like a blur. But then, as an entrepreneur, I can tell you that everything feels like a blur. There are days I'm like, ugh, I don't want to take my kids to school. But you got to do what you got to do. So you have to make the reason I said to organize your day and night like a Fortune 100 CEO is have non-negotiables. Like, these are things that I'm not gonna compromise on. I mean, you can't, as a mom, you can't have such a strict schedule because, like I said, you can't. For example, I would say a couple of days ago, I was planning on reciting a particular amount of juz and doing some adhkars at night. My little fellow ended up having a very high temperature, and there goes my ibadah for that night. But alhamdulillah, taking care of my child is ibadah, that's fine. But what I'm saying is we can't have such a strict, hard and fast rule when it comes to implementation, but at least plan. So if you plan and organize that 75% of what you plan and organize, inshallah, you would achieve. But if you're not planning nor organizing, then you're planning to fail. Like, that's what that says. Like, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's a statement not only for entrepreneurial life, but for every day, even every day, especially your spiritual life. If you're not gonna plan and you're gonna just think that you can do things by the seat of your pants, you're going to end up regretting when Ramadan ends that you didn't do or much more that you wanted to do. So be crystal clear on what you want to do for the next 10 days, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it. Again, like I said, family gatherings, how long are you going to spend time there? Again, when we have kids, like, they want to spend more time with their cousins, yada yada yada. So you need to have an overall plan, and then some leeway where you can work it around. But if you're just gonna lay back and say, nah, whatever, you're not gonna utilize this Ramadan portal to the maximum. Next one is normalize rest. I think this is a big one for sacred females, because we, as a culture, I don't know about the Western culture, but in the South Asian culture, this thing about having these lavish dishes and creating these lavish dishes and going for long taraweehs and staying up late at night and not sleeping after Fajr, like, and that's like praised, and that's like, oh my God, that's amazing, you're doing a great job. But how long can you sustain it? How long can you sustain it? Again, you have to organize based on your menstrual cycle. But if you're gonna be like, no, I'm just gonna thug it out or pull it through, you're gonna break it down by the last 10 nights of Ramadan, when we really need to stay up, when we really need every ounce of energy, every ounce of strength. You're not going to have it. So prioritize rest. When you need to rest. Don't push yourself to the extent of exhaustion that your ibadah will be subpar. It's not going to be of high quality ibadah. It won't be. You wouldn't complete it. There would be no yaqeen. There would be no sincerity. There would be no sweetness in it. It will just be a monotonous ticking off list if you don't prioritize rest. And that does not mean I'm telling you to sleep 10 hours, 12 hours. We don't need that amount of rest. So-called 10 to 12 hours. No, wallahi, no. We don't. And that's a completely different topic. So learn to prioritize rest. At least schedule in rest. scheduling breaks. And I've created something called the Ramadan grids, and it is on my Instagram. You can go to the bio and click the link and it will take you there. These are 3 printables where I've told my mentees to print it out and color them in and use that time as rest, and like so that your brain is not buzzing. Even when we are resting, our brain is like on overdrive. So when I tell them to use these pages for coloring and do some adhkars while they're coloring, it actually calms our nervous system and it lulls our brain into peace. And this is something we need, and this is a form of rest. Okay, builds a community. I think when I mean by builds a community, I'm not only talking about the iftar parties that we go to, and then all those iftar parties that, you know, where we're so busy gossiping. I would say I have been part of that in the past as well. Astaghfirullah. But build a community of women, either face to face or online, who will help you to stay accountable on your spiritual journey this Ramadan, who will help you attain your tasks and your goals this Ramadan, and also who will motivate you when you don't feel like you could do more, or you don't feel like there's just a time will come where we all will feel like, ugh, I feel so tired or burnt out or annoyed or I can't do this. So when you have a community of women to help you, it's a completely different. It's a complete game changer. Okay. Yeah, there are a couple more. Need to get through this quickly. Cultivate your NOOR. So, in Ramadan, one of the things about the portal of Ramadan is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy is upon us, and this month is a month of forgiveness. So, the more we ask forgiveness, the more we engage in istighfars, our energy, our bioenergy field gets cleaned and cleansed. And inshallah, by it being cleaned and cleansed, we are able to emit light or NOOR. So learn to cultivate this NOOR, like by doing your istighfars, your adhkars. The Quran is the greatest shifa, and do things where you feel so much connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on a daily basis. So that will help us cultivate our NOOR. That will help us attain closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you can chant Allah's name, Ya NOOR, maybe 100 to 500 times a day. People have told me that they actually feel NOOR coming out of them when they chant that. Inshallah. This is an important one. Remind yourself that you, as a sacred female, your Ramadan experience is completely different from a sacred male. You got to accept that. I mean, if you're married and you see your husband's going for Taraweeh every night, and then he stays in the mosque later, and then listens to the bayans and stuff, and then comes back home and still has so much energy to help you out, or do some work at home, or do work on his business or whatever, and you're like a shriveled shrimp by end of Taraweeh. Don't push yourself to do more, because your experience of Ramadan is completely different from the male's experience of Ramadan. For example, me, after iftar, the cleaning up, the cooking, the stuff that I need to do. Whereas my husband will be busy playing with the kids, or having conversation with them, or working on his on his whatever work that needs to be finished, and that will be his kind of a downtime. But I still do not have a downtime yet. I would only have a downtime later. So for me, Taraweeh would be later on in the day. in the night, Tarawih later on in the night, but there are times that I don't have the energy to do it even. And there are times I used to feel like, oh my God, I'm not being such a good Muslimah because I'm not doing this stuff and my husband's doing this. How can he do that? I don't have the energy for it, etc., etc. But you have to understand, as I said, your experience of Ramadan is completely different from his experience. The way you experience Ramadan is through your sacred space. It is more colorful. It's much more intense. Like, it is intense, y'all. It's intense. When you experience Ramadan through your sacred space, it's intense. And it's not the same. So stop shaming and blaming yourself for it. That you can't do it like or your brothers or your father or your male cousins that you see are so engaged in their tasbih and in their tarawih, and then you're like, oh, I can't do it like that. Don't. As I said, our experience is completely different. Move with purpose. And I think this ties into the earlier lesson of organize your day like a Fortune 100 CEO. Move with purpose. And move, when I'm saying move, I'm basically meaning the physical movement. And the physical movement I'm saying is about how you, yes, we're fasting and we're abstaining from food and water and stuff like that. Agreed. But then that does not mean that you cannot, your body has a right over you in giving it movement, in flexibility. So either if you're not going to the gym, go for a walk. If you can, go for a run, do some slight movement, but have it with purpose. Saying that, the purpose in the sense for pleasure of Allah. So everything that you do for Allah's pleasure this month gets amplified. So you can be like, okay, I'm going to go for a run, or I'm going to go for a hike, or I'm going for not a big hike, I'm going for a walk, so that I will feel more relaxed, I will feel more flexible or less tired, so I can do my ibadah in ease. That's what I mean by move with purpose. Not because, I want to lose a couple of pounds instead of enjoying the gym. That's not purpose. That we're talking about Ramadan. Oops, sorry. Become a 7-figure wealth manager. Let me repeat that. I would say embody the energy, the structure of a 7-figure wealth manager. That means, let's say you have wealth that is over 6 figures, which is 7 figures. What are you going to do with it? Where are you going to invest it? What kind of return are you expecting? What is the best investment? And become that in Ramadan, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to bless us with so many hasanat for every small thing that we do, for every small adhkars we do. Every time we say subhanallah, 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 subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanallah al-azim, the most amazing adhkars that we could do ever, and doing them in Ramadan has so much ajr in it. So imagine that your time is your wealth. Let's say you have 2 hours where either the kids are in school or you have some time, or even 30 minutes for those of you all who have a full-time job. Let's say you take 30 minutes. And these 30 minutes, you're going to become a 7-figure wealth manager. You have 7 figures of wealth in your investment portfolio, and you're going to diversify that to maximize returns. How are you going to do that? Are you going to do so in 30 minutes do a little bit of adhkars, do a couple of nawafil, do a page or two of Quran, contemplate on a Quranic verse, listen to a 5 minutes lecture. There you are. So every time that you have, every free time you have, tell yourself, I'm a 7-figure wealth manager, which means I need to be constantly focused on maximizing my returns. So every ibadah you do, every sadaqah you do, it is returned. Every sadaqah is returned minimum 10 times over. Minimum. And I can attest to that, because every time I make sadaqah for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is returned multiples. It is returned multifolds. Alhamdulillah. So that's what I'm saying. Behave like a 7-figure wealth manager, that you have so much wealth that you need to be meticulous in how you are managing it, how you are investing it, how you're organizing it. This is extremely important in Ramadan, because like I said, we've already done 10 days in Ramadan. There are only like 20 days remaining. So take heed. And the final one I say is, stop the internal shame of you wanting sexual intimacy. Either you're single or you're married. Stop this internal shame. It is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Ramadan for us to connect with Allah. So when we have these internal shame of sexual intimacy, it is our qareen's way of depleting our connection with Allah. So some of you all might be like, oh, I shouldn't think like this, oh, I shouldn't feel like this is haram, why am I like this, Allah's not going to love me, Allah's not going to take care of me, Allah's not going to forgive me. Don't. That is a slippery slope, and one of the most slippery slopes in Ramadan is the shame. And I've seen many women tell me this. It's the shame. When you such desires do come up, go pray 2 rakah nawafil and ask Allah for guidance. And if you're married, inshallah, after you finish your iftar, you can connect with your husband. Or if you're married and your husband's not with you, or if you're single, go pray 2 rakah nawafil and ask Allah for guidance and for ease. But don't go shaming yourself. It ain't gonna help you. It's not gonna help you. It's not gonna benefit you from shaming yourself. It will just give you a qareen and those what's that called, micro shayateens, to have a field day with you and rob you of your time of ibadah. It's not needed. This is something absolutely natural. That's why the Prophet Muhammad said that getting married is half of your deen. But we confuse the hadith, saying it's a nikah ceremony that's half of our deen. No, it's the whole marriage. It's not the wedding ceremony. It's the marriage that is completing half of our deen. Is we are getting married for the pleasure of Allah. We are going to live in a way that will please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not the lavish nikah ceremony, which includes I don't know how many days of celebrations. So those are the 11 lessons that every sacred female need to prioritize this Ramadan. And it's not easy. Like, if you're working, if you're a mom, and if you're an entrepreneur, it's not easy to change the structure of your day, structure of your routine, to to include more ibadah, more focus, more contemplation. And once Ramadan's finished, we are back to our old self. No. Ramadan is the portal, the massive portal is open from the beginning of Ramadan till the end of Dhul Hijjah, and there'll be a different Muharram portal. So it's open. So and these are all powerful months. But we are not. I would say that as sacred females, we actually cheat ourselves out of receiving our du'as, out of receiving the benefits that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for, because we're not persistent. We're more blasé, like, oh, it'll come, it won't come, or we're persistent with the wrong things. And y'all will tell me, yeah, but I want that raise, it makes me feel so good. Get your emotions out of the way. This Ramadan series is going to be a very interesting series, because we'll be discussing so many things. So, including what I just said about what my mentees talk about. So, like I said, we've already done 10 days of Ramadan. There are only 20 days remaining, and I keep iterating and stressing this throughout this episode, which is alive, by the way. You're a sacred female. The way you behave, the way you operate is different from the sacred masculine, the sacred males. But within sacred females, each of us are in a different life cycle. So thereby, the way we perceive the world, the way we experience Ramadan is different from the others. Do not be cheated out of Ramadan's benefits. That's all I'm saying. And being episode 1, I'm warning you all, be mindful. And this is a reminder and a warning to me as well. Be mindful, be focused on how you are spending your Ramadan days and nights. Because this is an extremely powerful portal. Extremely powerful portal. Use it. And by the way, on my Spotify, you can go through the previous episodes of different series, and you can go to the Muharram series. There is an opening of the portal trance at the end of the series. Do that trance, and that's opening of a portal trance. Women have done that, and they have received amazing results. Amazing results. And even one mentee of mine, she told me that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that she did see the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam after she did that trance. So may Allah put barakah in everything that we do. So go do the trance, listen to the trance, and may Allah ease us this Ramadan. And please take these lessons seriously, implement them in your life. And you have any doubts or questions, you can DM me on my Instagram, and I can get back to you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.